In this video, we're going to talk about why content alone is not enough to get you clients no matter how good it is. You need to take that content and plug it into a system and a model that can turn all of that attention and goodwill and trust that you're creating in people with your content into actual sales. Otherwise, all that hard work you're doing to post all the time is really worth nothing. Because the truth is, content can get you seen by people. It can make people more familiar with you. It can even make them know, like, and trust you. But that's still not enough for them to buy from you. That's why today I'm going to share how content fits inside of a larger client-getting system, and we're going to walk through that system step by step. Okay, what I'm about to say will sound a little controversial to some people, but the real purpose of content is not to sell. It's to build trust and familiarity over time. It's to create memories inside of your buyers' heads so people know who you are, what you do, and why they might want to hire you or work with you. But most importantly, it's about opening psychological loops inside of your buyers' heads. That's the purpose of the insight-based content I've been talking about in the past 2 videos in this 4-part weekly series, all about creating content that actually gets clients. Make sure, by the way, to like and subscribe to get notified when the next weekly video drops, and check the description for links to the previous videos in the series. When you share a mix of value content and insight-based content, you're not just building authority and trust, you're changing how your audience sees their business, their challenges, their lives, and sometimes even their whole world. And when that happens, they start asking themselves questions. And these aren't just any kind of questions, these are important strategic questions. So things like, who am I actually talking to? What are my goals? What do I want to achieve? Am I going about them in the right way? Should I be doing something different? Am I doing some things right and other things wrong? And what are those things? And those are really big questions, high-level strategic questions. And when your content opens these types of psychological loops in people's heads, they naturally want to close them with an answer. Now, for us as business owners, the goal is to move people from being strangers to being followers and then to believers. And I define a believer as somebody who simply joins your email list. When they're reading your content, they're a follower, but they haven't yet taken that next step to become a believer. So how do we get them there? Well, that's what I'm going to talk about next. So the next step in the process of using content to get clients is attracting them to join your email list by offering what I call a free but me lead magnet. What most business owners do at this stage is offer something totally generic, very value-based. So a free checklist, a free ebook, maybe a coupon, some swipe file, or a cheat sheet. And yes, these can get you subscribers, but most of the time, these kinds of lead magnets get you the wrong kinds of subscribers. People who just want free stuff or tire kickers, or people who do what you do, not people who are genuinely ready to buy from you. The goal of a free but me lead magnet is totally different. It doesn't just act as free stuff that leverages the psychology of reciprocity, that idea that people will feel so grateful or indebted to you that they'll give you money in return for something. And it's not based on this internet marketing myth that people will be so thankful for your free stuff that they'll suddenly decide to work with you and spend money with you. The free but me lead magnet is more like a bridge. It takes the curiosity and the open loops that your insight-based content created, and it channels it into the next stage of a real business relationship. A free but me lead magnet shares insight-based content and a little bit of value. It helps people take the next step in seeing their problems in a new light, but most importantly, it introduces you, your face, your voice, your personality, your perspective, your ideas, your philosophies. It creates what's called a parasocial connection, and that's just a psychological term that describes that feeling of seeing someone like on stage or on YouTube or on a podcast and feeling like, I know this person, I trust this person, I want to spend my money with or on this person. And that's a really powerful psychological tool, because when someone feels like they know you, they're far more likely to trust your advice, open your emails, and eventually buy from you. It's why you see products like Prime becoming billion-dollar brands from creators like Logan Paul, or why Martha Stewart is a billionaire, or Kylie Jenner can build a billion-dollar lip gloss company. It all comes down to a parasocial connection, that feeling of familiarity and trust and knowing. And that's why this stage in the process is so critical, because when someone downloads that lead magnet, what they're actually saying to you is, I don't just like your content. I believe enough in what you're saying and the questions you're raising in my head To exchange something of value that I have, my personal information, my email, that's the moment they move from what I call a follower to a believer. Now, in the next section, we're going to talk about what happens once they're on your email list, how to cultivate trust and build memories, and stay top of mind until it's the right time for them to buy. So now that you've moved someone from follower to believer and you're starting to create those parasocial connections with your free but me lead magnet, how do you turn them from a believer into a buyer? Well, the obvious answer is email. But the question is, how do you use email in a way that doesn't make people feel overly sold to? How do you make sure they don't join your email list and think, I don't really get that much value from these emails, or I didn't really learn anything new. This person's just trying to get me to buy something. You don't want them to think that. But most gurus would tell you that your job, now that they're on your email list, is basically to berate your potential buyers with sales emails until they finally give in and buy. Like every buyer has this big stone wall made out of willpower, and that every sales email you send just kind of chips away at it until eventually they give up and buy something from you. But that's just not true. Because what marketing effectiveness research actually shows is that most of your audience is not ready to buy right now. Not because you haven't sent enough sales emails or used the magic words, but because the number one reason people buy isn't persuasion or discounts, it's timing. In fact, there's a marketing effectiveness rule of thumb called the 95-5 rule that says at any given time across industries, only about 5% of your audience is in a buying mood, or what's called in market to buy. The other 95% just aren't there yet, and that could be for a lot of reasons. Maybe they don't have the budget, or maybe they haven't even realized they have a problem yet, let alone that they should be looking around for someone to help them fix it. And that's okay, because that's where email comes in. If content and posting are your discovery mechanisms, that thing that goes out into the world and gets attention and makes people notice and follow you across platforms, then email is your conversion channel. Its number one purpose is to convert people from believers into buyers. Now, does that mean that's its only purpose? No, but conversion is the primary purpose. But that doesn't negate the fact that 95% of people just aren't ready to buy. And we don't want to just ignore those people. They are not useless to us. And honestly, treating them that way is kind of an unethical guru mindset that I've seen repeated around Twitter and some other places. But I also don't agree with this other school of thought, this idea that you need to just nurture people forever and send them endless tips and tricks and value and information and just give away everything you know until maybe one day they're grateful enough to buy from you. Instead, what we want to do is take a completely different approach. We want to keep sharing our insight, our ideas, our philosophies, our codes, while showing up consistently in their inboxes and building memories inside someone's head about who we are and what we do and the value we bring. And email allows you to do that. Email is when you can start showing up regularly because you don't have to battle algorithms all the time. It's where you become familiar. It's how trust grows. It's where you share the kind of content that deepens a parasocial connection. So videos, podcasts, things that show your face and your voice. Your content is how they find you, but email is how they buy from you. So how do we get people to buy from us beyond just kind of sending them a ton of sales emails? Well, we could follow that guru advice that's everywhere online, do some big crazy launch every 6 months, run a wait list, do a huge push, and just kind of cross our fingers a few times a year. But because of the 95-5 rule, we know that people buy on timing. So that launch advice is deeply flawed. If you're only doing an offer every few months, what are the chances you're going to get as many buyers as you could if you were making an offer every single day? Because here's the thing. When the right timing meets the right offer, that's when a sale is made. But for now, the big takeaway is this. You need to make daily offers. But your email can't only be offers. It has to be a blend of insight, value, and offers. Your emails still need to open psychological loops to get people thinking differently about their businesses and their lives. But then you need to pair this insight and value with what I call a conversational sales approach. Because when you start combining insight, value, and conversational sales, you're giving people something valuable and showing them the logical next step. So basically what you're setting up inside the email is a conversation that says, here's a new way to see your problems, and if you're ready to act on that and to solve a problem that you have, here's how I can help. That's how you stay top of mind for that 95% who aren't ready to buy now and available for the 5% who are ready in this moment. So here's how it all fits together. You attract attention with content. You turn strangers into followers with that mix of insight and value-based posts. You turn followers into believers with that free but me lead magnet that builds trust and parasocial connection. Once they're on your email list, you can turn those believers into buyers by combining insight, value, and conversational sales with daily offers. So you never feel annoying or pushy or salesy, but you still increase your sales. And by the way, when I adopted this strategy that I just talked you through in my business, I 6x'd my income in my business. And my clients who've implemented it have seen massive transformations in both their sales and their profits. So when you put all these steps together, that's how content fits into a bigger conversion ecosystem that moves people from strangers to followers to believers to buyers without being overly pushy or annoying. It's the same four-step process that every single business in every single industry, from six figures to multi-billion-dollar brands, is built on in some way. And I call it the trust funnel. Now, if you want to learn more about the trust funnel and how it actually works step by step, I've made an entire video that walks through the full model in detail. I'll link that for you in the description below, or you can find it at trustfunnelsnotsalesfunnels.com. The trust funnel is one of the key choice hacking frameworks that I teach every single day inside of Cheap Business Copilot. It's the same system that's helped me generate over $250 million in sales and more than $10 million in investment for my solo SMB and Fortune 500 clients like Microsoft and McDonald's. And if you want to learn how to use those same tools, frameworks, and psychological strategies in your own business, the best place to start is my free daily newsletter. It's where I share insights in buyer psychology, marketing strategy, and how to use systems like the trust funnel to grow your very own $1 million plus solo brand. You can join the 10,000 readers already getting it at choicehacking.com/read, or just click the link in the description. I'll see you in the next one.